Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left, the one, the only, David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And as always, follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA, so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the league around you.
While you've got your browsers open, as usual, check out battleviewer.com if you haven't already, where you can view standings, match listings, access YouTube and Twitter relatively easily through the overall interface, respond to exclusive polls, and you're still using the same Twitch chat that you all know and love.
Absolutely a fantastic website. Another great website you guys should check out is fantasywgl.com. This is World of Tanks Fantasy League. At the beginning of a night, you guys pick your 7 players on each team. As the night goes on, they accumulate points based on things that happen in the game, damage, cap, all that fun stuff. And points equate to tons of prizes. There's in-game premium time, in-game gold, and also premium tanks like the Hype 59. You can't get it anywhere else but there. But enough of me talking about it. Let's go ahead and watch the video. All right, there you have it again. FantasyWGL.com is the website. Now, David, for my fantasy picks, I've done something this week that I haven't done before, and I'm hoping that I didn't just shoot myself in the foot by doing it, but I'm really excited for one of the matchups coming up tonight, which is going to be Simp versus High Voltage, and I actually doubled up on both. So for Simp, I picked Nitz and Brodus, and for High Voltage, I picked Blue Boys and Oxmathis. Now, is this something that is good to do? I was expecting, my logic is long games and hopefully more points.
Well, they're all individually good picks. Oxmathis is debatable. When he's into tier 8, huge points, but if he gets into an artillery, he produces a little bit less.
Sure.
Doubling up on both sides of a match puts 4 out of your 7 in one single match.
Yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Christian.
Yeah.
See if it pays off.
Life on
Realistically,
the edge.
I like to spread it out a little bit more.
Okay.
Never put more than 3 people in a single match. I agree, though. I think that match has potential to go pretty long. Personally, my 2 top picks from that are Brodus.
Okay.
And Dekilzor. Dekilzor has been putting up a decent amount of points, surprisingly. And and Brodus drives the 5100. So a lot of times he gets to put in a full clip before he goes down or anything. It's kind of a gamble if you pick IS3s because sometimes they get to shoot a lot. Other times they just have to get into a fight and kind of get wrecked.
And go down. Yeah.
Honestly, it's only time will tell on that one.
All right.
It could go either way.
Well, I'm excited to see because hopefully it does go well. But before we get into tonight's matchups, let's take a look at last Thursday's matchup. If you guys missed anything, up first we had Lamp losing to Rival in a tiebreaker 4-5, followed by Game Over losing to High Voltage 0-5. Third, we had Elevate beating Synergy 5-2, and finally Refuse clean sweeping 07 5-0. And going through these matches as always, one at a time. Up first, Lamp versus Rival. Now we haven't seen. This is the first time we saw Lamp back from that. The match they forfeited, so they took that break, and they looked considerably better from the previous matches. They actually made it to a tiebreaker, but then lost. Rival just squeezed out in the end. What are some of the things that you saw from that first matchup?
I think that largely sums it up. I think Rival's finish in a couple of the games they won were rather decisive. They were demonstrating that they were the better team and they did deserve the win. However, Lamp improved quite a bit in just 1 week. That off. Whatever the changes they've made seem to be working for them, and I hope they can continue it because they do have a lot of talent on that team, and they can perform at a higher level than they have been so far.
Sure, and Baby Halo was back, if I'm not mistaken, that night as well, right?
Possibly. We'll get to the bottom of that sometime today.
Okay, all right.
But I think he is.
Okay, well then up next we had Game Over losing to High Voltage 0-5. High Voltage just had a dominant performance there, opening up on Himmelsdorf, just fantastic control, also worked the courtyard very well. Just tell me some of the highlights you saw from that.
I think you covered it there as well. I mean, the courtyard play I always like to see. I think it's a huge part of controlling Himmelsdorf, especially on defense because it limits the number of options the other team has.
Right.
Pretty much they can only go down the 0 line.
Right.
And as long as you have a plan to get over there and stop whatever cap happens, you're good. You pretty much have all the bases covered. And we'll actually cover that a little bit later as well. I'm starting to tilt on what I thought about Himmelsdorf.
Okay.
But whatever. Getting on the actual topic at hand, High Voltage versus Game Over, like you said, dominant. High Voltage just controlled the entire match, outplayed, out-strategized. That's not much else to say about it.
All right. Third, we had Elevate beating Synergy 5-2. One thing that was the game of the night we were actually kind of both hyping there. Elevate had a fantastic play under Ruenberg, bringing those Tigers in, doing things that we've never seen. and obviously it worked out for him very well.
I really like the Tiger One strategy they brought on
Yeah,
offense. I think there are a couple ways to kind of stop it, but I can also see ways that Elevate can prepare for that and exploit it. So you basically have to shut down the Tigers before they get into those positions in the F line because it's too much HP and DPM, right? Whatever. We'll get into that if we see it again.
Yeah.
But I don't expect any team to break it very easily, very soon, unless Elevate makes a mistake while running. But overall, Synergy played a lot better than I think the score reflects.
Okay.
I still feel like they're on an upward trend overall. But Elevate returned to form and just had a much better game overall.
Absolutely. And finally, we had Refuse beating 07 5-0. And the thing that popped into my mind from that final match was the aggression that Refuse had, both on Mines, I believe, when they opened up and they went into, I don't know, Steps, I can't remember that last map, but, Lakeville. They went to Lakeville. Yeah. Finally, and on both maps, there's times where you usually see teams kind of waiting it out, maybe a stalemate happening. They were like, no, we're just going to go. We're just going to go right now, and it worked out for them.
So aside from the Lakeville push, none of them were particularly blind, but what was going on is I think they got underneath kind of 07's ability to make decisions quickly, and anytime they saw an overmatch, they just took it, and that was it. That's all they needed to do in that situation, and really, I could summarize the entire set of engagements in that situation, aside from Lakeville, which was relatively fair, to overmatch. Plain and simple. More tanks on less tanks, and it's very hard to come out of that without a whole lot of very good positional play. I expected 07 to probably take a game or two off of them, but Refuse came out very strong, and it's hard to shut down a team when they get on a hot streak like that.
Sure, showing why they are on the top. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking about that, let's take a look at the standings going out into our 5th week of Season 1 Gold League. There it is on top. Refuse with 17 points. A very decisive win there, followed by High Voltage and #RU. Down at the bottom still, Maple Freedom, Game Over, and Lamp, the bottom 3 teams. Now looking at kind of the standings so far, Refuse has that, I believe it's a 4-point lead. Is that a pretty significant lead this far into the game, or is that can be kind of overthrown quite easily?
It can be overthrown. So if I do a snap count here, Refuse has played 7 games.
Okay.
Whereas High Voltage has played 5.
Oh.
High Voltage is only 3 points behind.
So that's...
If I run the math on this, High Voltage, if I remember correctly, if both teams win all the rest of their matches, High Voltage can afford to win 1 in an overtime draw and still have a point lead.
Oh, wow.
So they need to get at least 2 points to win by the end of the season.
Oh.
And that's assuming that we don't have chaos where one team beats another and all sorts of very complicated situations. In ideal circumstances, a very good chance that High Voltage will end up taking first overall. However, another team to keep an eye out on, and this was actually slipping past me for a while, is Simp. Simp has also only played 5 games. And fortunately/unfortunately for them, most of the people they have yet to play are people who are higher than them on the points. So this is it's unfortunate because those are the hardest matches they're going to play.
Sure.
It's fortunate in the sense if they win all those, they're not only handicapping all their opponents' points, but
they're
just
building skyrocketing.
So there is a chance they can definitely climb up. I don't think it's possible for them, possible. I don't think it's likely for them to take over first or second.
Okay.
But I think they can climb up to potentially 3rd or 4th. I'd have to run the numbers a little bit more, but it's certainly not looking as bad as I thought it was last week, as they're sitting in 6th overall. And again, if I ran the numbers on it a little bit, very low odds that they will drop below 6th overall.
Oh, great. Well, hopefully we'll see some kind of mix-up in the standings coming up. Speaking about Simp, we're going to see them play tonight. Let's take a look at tonight's matchups. But up first, we're going to have #RU versus Maple Freedom, followed by Noble versus Rival. Third will be Simp versus High Voltage, 2 of the teams we were talking about. And finally, Lamp versus Game Over. Now, David, out of the 4 matches tonight, obviously we were just talking about Simp and High Voltage. That'll be a fun one to see. But which one are you most excited to watch, and who do you think is going to take it?
It's Simp and High Voltage. I mean, it's 2 halves. I don't know about halves, but it's 2 groups of players
from the same team
who used to play together, and are now separate. Now, Simp has many people who weren't on that team, and High Voltage has many people that weren't on that team. But there are elements of both teams that used to play together. Yeah. And I don't know. Core might be too strong of a word.
Okay.
But semantics aside, it is definitely an interesting match for a lot of contextual reasons, a lot of tense reasons that I'm not sure anybody would be willing to admit to on Face Off or talk about. We'll see if we can get him to say something.
Man, brother fights brother. Well, that's going to be a fun match to watch. But I'm actually really excited to see our final match, Lamp versus Game Over. Again, seeing that drastic improvement that Lamp had over just a week break. I'm hoping, or I'm excited to see if they can find maybe this is like the leg up they're looking for. Maybe they'll start taking their first victory of this season. It'd be very exciting to see. But that aside, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic nights for you guys. We'll take a quick break. We're done with the pre-show, but stay tuned. We'll be right back with match number 1 after this. Not quite finding Morphic, but Androxus has lined up the shot. He has ready to lead a shotgun for Morphic. Androxus' shot bounces, but Brodus now is ready with the reload. Palacio is going to take down Morphic, and now the overmatch will ensue. Simp trying to find every member of Maple Freedom. Brodus dropping extremely low. He's on reload. He has nothing to do. Overload Prime going to save Brodus by taking Bobby out before he can come over. Giggles going to find Overload Prime. Mr. Man, though, dropping ridiculously low. Palacio looks like he's going to find Giggles. Out London actually lets it fly, not making any connection, taking some damage himself. And there's the push from 07 coming around the corner. Warbander being on the negative end, receiving like as far as Camador, who's one more shot away. Germ going to find Warbander. Canadian back-to-back kills onto Camador. Fosta picking up X shoulder to try to respond, but only 3 members manned for 07. Okula going to go ahead and find Fosta. Vitro finding a kill, but being dropped extremely low himself. Just 2 members remain. Noble looks like they're going to pick up their 4th victory on the Himmelsdorf. They're 2 in a row. There it is, back-to-back kills and it out. 234 points of damage, getting dropped 1 more shot, and then AMX50, Spride pushing a little too far. Looks like he's going to get punished for it. Dark God Sim going to pick that one up, and now just 5 tanks remain on the side of Synergy Gaming. Elevate doing a beautiful job picking up these kill after kill. Finally, 2 tanks going across Pub Whisper and Takumi getting those kills, but Arclet taking another one down. Elevate continuing to press this victory more and more onto the side. Synergy Gaming, Unknown one more shot. He'll go down. Let's see who can pick it up. Looks like it is going to be Zone Delta. And now having Pub Whisper in a different position. Let's see if the position helps him out a lot. Not a lot of damage coming onto the side. Synergy Gaming coming around the gaming rig. Looks like they could be the focus. And no one coming to join the fight. A great pickup there early on for Synergy Gaming. They find Gaming's rig. Something did not happen last time. And Godzilla mode looks like he is the next. J-Smooth coming down. Exeki is picking that one up. Synergy Gaming absolutely turning it on here. As Abrasive is going to be the next target. J-Smooth, a beautiful pickup from behind. Valera Desolator is going to be. Mako is now being, looks like the target of focus. Sublime Data rushing through a crazy amount of tanks, just running all over the side. The center here by the church. Mako's dropping extremely low. 1 more shot, he will go down. E63 doing it, but gonna get down, taken is Brute Awakening. Synergy gonna pick that one up, and now he is the focus himself. Memorably coming around from behind. A couple more shots into Warbander in those IS3. Sublime Banana picking up now 2 tanks going down from the side of Refuse. Just 1 on the red team. E63 continuing to increase that victory. Vetro doing his best to try to take down Refuse, but Refuse looks like they are absolutely in the front. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. Hey, that's David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA. And if you guys aren't watching this on BattleViewer.com, stop whatever you're watching this right now and go to BattleViewer. Fantastic site. And as always, follow us on Twitter @WGLNA so you guys can stay up to date with what's happening in the community around you.
Also check out the question of the day, which is, which map is your favorite to watch this season?
Yeah. So far, mine has to be Mines. Just because it's so fun to see the different amount of strategies going in. Generally, usually it's a fast-paced game, and it's just been a pleasure to watch so far. How about you?
I love Mines in general as a map. A little bit less interesting to me this season, as I know a lot of what's already going to happen.
Oh, okay,
and
sure.
Every once in a while,
player, it's really fun.
Once in a while, it's definitely excellent. But Himmelsdorf has been the one I've been most excited to watch, which I don't think I ever would have expected to say those words in my entire life.
So the
cap changes and how everything works changed it a lot. And as we talked about in the beginning of the season, it started out in offensive favor. Defense started learning the few options that offense has,
sure. And
now it's getting into the second stage of meta. And what would be really interesting is if we can get into the third stage of meta by playoffs. But either way, it's been fun for me to watch because it's just new and fresh.
Great. Well, always exciting. As always, up first, ladies and gentlemen, though, our first match of the night Hashtag Are You versus Maple Freedom. Now the face-off is ready. Unfortunately, we have no one for Hashtag Are You, but for Maple Freedom, we're going to be talking to Out of Sight. Out of Sight, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are welcome, sir. Now, the first question to you, just for people who haven't been, maybe following you guys quite closely, or don't know really your history, your background, can you explain just quickly, where you guys from? How did your team come to be? Is it, friends you met online? Is it people near you? Just maybe walk us through that.
I honestly don't really know. I think a lot of the guys were friends. I ended up joining towards playoffs of Silver League, so
okay.
I don't know the whole story, but I'm pretty sure everyone was just kind of friends from clans and stuff.
That's how a lot of teams are formed, honestly. It starts in clan wars or just platooning somewhere around there, and they get to be friendly and decide to make a push for it. So perhaps then you can fill us in a little bit more about how exactly your calling situation works on the team. I know teams have different styles, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about yours.
We kind of have one main caller, and then we have kind of a flank caller. But as far as a lot of our strats and stuff, the majority of the time we kind of go over that beforehand and give feedback from everyone. And then sometimes during match days it may switch on the fly depending on what, tank composition the other team brings, or due to many different factors. But
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's pretty much a classic way of doing things.
Oh, it's good. It's good to see that you guys are prepared for almost anything. Now, Out of Sight, if you had any words to a member of Hashtag Are You, let's pick. Is Eclipse from England? Is Eclipse English?
No.
Oh, okay. Let's pick Eclipse then. Perfect. If you had any words for Eclipse, Out of Sight, what would it be?
Good luck.
Great.
Please
Great.
don't play Artie.
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
That's a good one. All right, now if I were Eclipse, I'd be like, good luck to you guys too, just not in this match, right? Because that's what most people usually say. Out of Sight, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in the battle. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
All right. Now, kind of explain, kind of difficult. What?
It's just
that's what they say,
the Eclipse
right?
England thing. I'm still laughing about it. I didn't hear anything past that, honestly.
I was assuming because after the big push came in when teams were picking up new players, I remember talking about a lot of players coming in from EU. I was like, oh, maybe he's English and I could do an English accent.
Well, European Union overall, and Eclipse was from RU. He played in the Russian league, so
that would have been a lot more difficult to pull off. But kind of talking about just like I'm fascinated how teams are formed. So is that how your team was formed as well? Just playing together online, and then you kind of find players who you work well with?
Wow. So my team was largely made that way. I had a team before the one that most people know about that was made exactly that way. And then once we started kind of gearing up for a pro push, there was another group of people who were known as being very good, who had actually played the format before, 742, and we never had. And
like your mentors.
It was Friction and his two people, and he had done a lot of stuff that kind of created clan wars long before I started being involved in clan wars and kind of retired. It's a long history.
Okay.
Put it this way, I wanted Friction on the team. I thought the two of us together would have made a nasty team. And for the most part, it did.
All right, well, let's kind of talk about how, let's see, the teams that actually are together. Let's take a look at the rosters now coming up on the side of Hashtag Are You and Maple Freedom. Just talking about kind of maybe highlights from the players that you've seen currently that have really been showing up on both sides.
Well, we've talked about Eclipse and most of the rest of Hashtag Are You, but Abrasive and Young Money, Cash Money stand out. For Maple Freedom, Out of Sight has generally been doing well. Morphic has generally been doing well. And I believe
Mr. Man?
Mr. Man does pretty well overall, but I believe it's Morphic and Out of Sight who tend to do the bulk of the damage. A lot of the movement stuff that we've seen. So I wouldn't be surprised if Morphic is the main caller and Out of Sight's like a flank caller or something like you said.
Right.
It's going to be something along those lines.
All right, well, let's actually get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready for our first matchup of the night. Hashtag Are You versus Maple Freedom on Lakeville. Let's get right into that and take a look at what do we got for tanks.
Well, for Hashtag Are You, we have a 5100, 3 IS3s, a 54 lightweight, and 2 LTTBs. Something we kind of haven't really seen on Lakeville in a while, if I remember correctly. Maple Freedom, 2 5100s, 2 IS3s, 2 T54 lightweights, and a T21. So last time we saw a T21, I was kind of talking about how maybe it's not better than the T37.
Right.
I played it quite a bit to see exactly which situations it is. And basically, anytime you're going to be sitting around and sniping, the T21's a better option. You can get not only the vertical stabilizer on it, but you can also get a rammer, which the T37 for some reason can't. So its overall fire rate ends up being a lot higher than its actual stat sheet shows.
Okay.
And therefore, it's just better for the damage
tank
over time. I had some great games playing that thing.
All right. Now starting out, obviously we have a very, very heavy push into the city from both of the teams. Full 7 members on the side of hashtag are you, just 6 side of Maple Freedom as Felix down there in that J3 position, holding on to that western cap. And now it seems as Godzilla and Game is Rigged are heading on out. Now when you get in kind of this position of them stalling out here, as no one's really pushing up on either side of the team, Godzilla mode over there on top with the other member of hashtag are you. Looking for obviously, or not obviously, but I'm saying, assuming they're gonna be looking for that, for that middle road control as is so prevalent. Why wouldn't you have Felix, for example, on Maple Freedom, be pushing up there to take that road as well?
Well, with 2 LTTBs floating around, it's just not a risk I'd be willing to take. They're going to annihilate that T-21 if they come across it.
Okay.
So he's doing a pretty good job staying in the back. I think he needs to get a better line. Actually, he has moved a little bit, so he does have a better line, firing in to support some of his own teammates here. But from this middle road, Game is Rigged and Godzilla mode have better angles on out of sight. And Mr. Man here in the 54s. Right now, hashtag RU is looking in slightly better position, but it is still definitely anybody's game. And if it comes to an actual brawl, there we go, out of sight, taking 2 shots from the LTTBs. Grand total of 366 from what I saw. But I'm not sure they're going to get a whole lot more than that. This may create a push from Maple Freedom. If they feel like they're getting pressured and have no other options, they may just go for it. They do have 2 5100s, whereas hashtag RU only has 1. So there's a certain school of thought that says that Maple Freedom could take down hashtag RU in this fight, but I think that they're correct in not trying to take that. However, the longer they're sticking around here, the more hit points they're losing, which is getting hashtag RU ready to jump in here and clean this up pretty quickly. Putin looks like he's moved over with the 2 LTTBs there in the middle, so that's a lot of flanking firing force. The rest of hashtag RU focusing on the 6-7 line. So we actually saw them do this, and they messed it up a little bit last time they played, and it didn't really work out. But I think in this instance, they've got very good angles. It's not a bad play, and looks like they're about to lock Maple Freedom out from the western cap and potentially get a cap going there, or at least just do a bunch of damage on them while they try and move.
That's right, as Mr. Man taking another shot in his T-54 lightweight, pushing on Valera Desolator. Getting a little bit of response from Morphe there in that IS-3. Felix decided to come back from, he looked like he was pushing the Valley for a moment. Decided to come back to the team. Morphe taking some more damage. David, like you're talking about, as they just sit in this town, their health is dwindling more and more and more. Morphe another shot in his IS-3. A couple more shots like that, and he will go down. Obviously, hashtag are you just happy to sit here and keep getting these free shots off as they please. Now, having, let's say, Putin decided to go in, and Game is Rigged coming back in the LTTB. Why did they switch the LTTB and the T-54 there?
I guess they probably want the T-54's firing rate. Well, not really the firing rate, but his actual gun. They just wanted him there, I guess. Or perhaps because the LTTB can move around a little bit faster.
Okay.
Number of reasons why they may have done it. What is most important is that they just moved one of those tanks out and into this area. And I think keeping the 54 lightweight there is a better allocation of the resources. Some of the damage actually starting to turn back around on hashtag RU here, but it's far from tied up.
There you go, Young Money Cash Money taking 953 points of damage, and the cap pressure is being applied. Looks like Eclipse and Valera are going to be the ones on the side of hashtag RU to start the pressure. Some shots going off from USA, and Abrasive in the 5100 finding Morphic. One more shot, he will go down. Eclipse gonna pick it up in the first tank falls of the match on the side of Maple Freedom. Mr. Man gonna get tracked and then taken down as well. Over on the side, we have Felix fighting against 2 members of hashtag RU, all out of sight, finding their first member, which is going to be Eclipse. Valera has decided to get off the cap, pushing down his IS-3, and here comes the corner. USA and Bobby pushing on an Abrasive in the 5100, trying to get as much damage on him as he can before he can load his clip. USA Rock's going to take him out. Looks like he only got one more shot in there. Bobby, though, taking a lot of damage in response. And over on the side, Godzilla mode along with, I believe it was Mr. MacTep Putin, decided to take out Felix. Game is Rigged going down to Veggie, and now 4-on-3 in favor of hashtag RU, but Valera Desolator extremely low. Putin going to pick up out of sight before Valera can go down, and now just 2 members remain, looking great for hashtag RU. Putin decided to keep on going through. He wants more. He's on fire. Takes a shot into Veggie, finishes him off, and now it is just USA Rocks all in his IS-3. He will go down shortly, as there is nothing he can do against 4 members of hashtag RU. One shot going in at 390. Let's see who's going to find the final blow. Putin taking a shot, actually bouncing. Godzilla taking another one in the back. Couple more shots, he'll go down. There it is. Putin will be the one to pick it up, and hashtag RU with a victory right off the bat. Now, I'm just kind of talking about that push. It was fun to see how when you are, looking on the side of Maple, pushing into the city, and #U decide to go on that road. My question: why wouldn't you, as Maple? I know you can't fight along the lake road right there. Kind of that obviously the 4 line will be able to fight you. Why don't you go through the back end of the town and find your fight there? Because you obviously have an overmatch, right?
So that's kind of an interesting question. You would have an overmatch if you were able to catch some tanks that were still there, but they'll probably move. And then what'll happen is they'll move around into the cap area and block you out of your own defense.
Gotcha.
Then you have to come back in. And that's kind of what happened there. I think #U had something nice going, a little bit of a boa constrictor style move. They're slowly wrapping around and just constricting their opponent, just squeaking out a little bit of damage here and there. But they let some containment go, and it kind of caused them some additional HP that perhaps they weren't ready for. But they pushed all the way through the 4 line, took down the T-21, got a follow-up flank, and that was pretty much game. I think it could have been done a little bit more confidently. But after the last couple of games they've had, it doesn't surprise me that they're still trying to get their legs back. And for what I've seen, they're at least on the right track.
Now, from what you know of this map, what you know of Lakeville, on the side of defense, is there a better position to, instead of pushing all those members that far into the city, to actually hold back even further and just wait for the enemy team to come out? Or is the city just a really good kind of overall defense for multiple attacks?
Hard question to answer. I think there are better positions to defend from.
Okay.
But it depends on what exact spot you want to defend and how you want to do it and what else you're going to do with strategy.
Sure.
It's a very complex thing.
If
you just want to stop them from coming through the city, they're pretty much in the right spots.
Okay.
They need to be a little bit more aggressive about it, though. I generally think northern side has a better advantage in fighting that area, but that's highly debatable. In case anybody was wondering, we don't really need to show any stats, but Valera Desolator topping off #U, USA Roxall topping off Maple Freedom, both of them doing over 2,000. Next in line for both teams, just slightly under 1,000. Young Money, Cash Money, and
such a great name.
The stats just disappeared. I think it was Bobby. Pretty sure it was Bobby.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're into our next battle of #U versus Maple Freedom. #U is 1 up. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks. Dave, what are they?
#RU with 3 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a VK3002M. Ooh, that is interesting. Maple Freedom, 2 5100s, an IS-3, 2 T-54 lightweights, a GW Panther, and an SP1C. Okay. GW Panther is a monster. If you connect with somebody with that, it'll ruin them, much more than an M44 would. But it is more points. And its reload is so long that I don't really see a great use for it. But perhaps if they can find a way of delaying #RU efficiently enough, then the GWP will get its damage in. The problem with it is because the reload is so long, its damage per minute is not worth, so you can pretty much just blitz it, and whatever team decided to bring that is hampering themselves by the point distribution.
Okay.
And it's pretty easy to win an HP per DPM match unless you just unless the team bringing the GWP just finds some good angles and has a very complex strategy and how to protect it and how to get it done. But if that were the case, I think we would have seen a lot of other teams already doing it because it was, at one point, one of the standard artillery for the WGLNA formats.
Okay.
So a lot of people would love to use it again. I always liked it. But I think the M44 is a better pick these days. Now, the SP1C, on the other hand...
Yeah, you said that was kind of interesting.
I hate that thing.
Okay.
I utterly... I have no idea why they brought this. I mean, it's got a pretty... I cringe to call it a decent gun. It does a lot of damage in one shot. But pretty much everything else about the gun, I didn't like at all. Interestingly, it also doesn't have camo on it, which there's no real reason for that. It would be helpful if he did. That's... I guess he's just going to camp. Perhaps it has some sort of coefficient, camo coefficient that I'm not aware of. Some of the less visible stats, I guess is the better phrase to put it.
Okay.
But overall, I just don't see... I can't repeat it enough. I just don't see why anyone would bring an SP1C at all. Hopefully, they will demonstrate that, though.
Yeah, did you see any equipment that he was running that you might find that, that's not something I normally would run?
I'm just floating around on that. He brought a camo net, and he brought binos, so
for spotting.
You can see reasonably far. Stationary spotting is what it looks like. He has a rammer for reload, but nothing to actually constrain that gun down. That's debatable. Realistically, he's probably going to be so close up if he gets to fire at anything because the SP1C just doesn't fire from a distance reliably at all.
Okay.
That they don't really need a gun laying drive or anything. So I guess I'm okay with it. Not a big fan of the placement of the consumables itself, but everybody has their own particular way of doing things.
Sure.
My hands are kind of large, so I hate using the 4 key. So I always put like a fire extinguisher there, get it away from the 1 through 3. But I mean, like I said, personal preferences.
You could macro it too as maybe middle mouse, but
they can also
they
can also change the hotkeys. A lot of people rebind forward to space for their repair kits.
Yeah, that's what pros do. Yeah, that's what you were telling me.
I already made you do it, didn't I?
You did, yeah. We already did that. So
here we go.
I'm a pro.
IS3 push, and everybody coming down the 0 line for #RU. This will be decisive one way or another.
Game is rigged now, being spotted out, allowing with Valera, Desolator, Young Money, Cash Money, and the damage coming in already onto that IS3. 463 points of damage, but the response from #RU is beautiful against Veggie in that 5100, getting dropped extremely low there. The focus fire was fantastic. And now coming through, they have increased their HP lead #RU by over 1,400. Now, actually about 1,400 against Maple Freedom. And we were kind of just talking about this. Now, obviously, #RU has complete and utter, reign to go over this Eastern Cap.
They have no idea how much power they have right now, and it's frustrating for me to watch. I understand what's going through their head, but there are a couple things here they needed to take note of and really exploit. The 5100 took a boatload of damage. He's low. He's actually clipping right now, which they have no way of knowing.
Okay.
Both 54s were out of the fight, and the GWP had fired and missed. There was not a better situation than they needed right there to push all the way up.
Sure.
But as it is, the 54s are going to be coming down the 4 line, perhaps getting a better angle. And this could start to stall out #RU pretty quickly. And this is the bane of a lot of teams. You hesitate, and you think that you know what's really going on when you don't. And they didn't interrupt their enemy. But sorry, they interrupted their enemy while their enemy was making a mistake. GWP took down the 3002.
Yeah. You're talking about
one shot? I didn't see him get shot other than that.
No, you're saying a good gun for that Panther. If they allow Maple Freedom to sit there and have the time, the damage will come out of sight, picking up Godzilla mode. Now 2 tanks falling for the side of #RU, and #RU have decided to get off the cap. That or the tanks on the cap have been destroyed. 2 minutes and 15 seconds now going in, so the time has been counting down. And actually, when I was looking at this, I thought, oh, wow, #RU definitely has, they have all their tanks over there, and Maple Freedom would have to be the ones to go to them, but Maple Freedom doing a great job.
So Abrasive just gets sent to solo 254s? I mean, he's a... Oh, no, here we go. There's Putin.
There's another side.
I'm losing my mind. I was like, I mean, Abrasive's good, but that's crazy. All right, here we go.
That Abrasive taking some damage in his T-54, going across, trying to find connection. Looks like they want control over the center lane and out of sight, making his way out. They're trying to retreat down the valley. Let's see if they can get out in time, but they do some good damage aside of Abrasive T-54 battle. Putin going to be the first one to pick it up, and now it is a 2v1. But if Mr. Man can take the shot onto Abrasive, he'll make it a 1v1. Mr. Man taking 211 points of damage, the first chunk out of his HP pool. Let's see what's going to happen. Take the shot. Sounds like it bounced. And another damage. More damage going across Mr. Man. Abrasive now taking a shot, missing, having it back out again, and Putin taking even more damage. Mr. Man doing a great job keeping these 254s at bay. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, not much else is happening. Felix still in his same position. Abrasive now moving up, trying to get a better angle. Also trying to make sure he doesn't get shot, because one more shot, he'll go down. There it is, Mr. Man taking Abrasive down to now a 1v1. And the HP is in favor of Mr. Man. Doing a great job holding it here. Some shots out going down in the southern corner. Morphic. So he was taking some more shots. Another damage back and forth to Mr. Man. They both exchanged over a little over 200 points of damage. 7 seconds, though, on the clock. Let's see if they can hold it. No, the reset comes through. Now it's back down to 7. #RU trying to find the cap when they can. Over on the side, Mr. Man still battling it out. Bobby moving his way in. Felix taking the damage over on the side. Bobby taking some as well. They're trying to take #RU up, but just 30 seconds remain. Valera Desolator looks like he's going to pick up Bobby over the side. Mr. Man finishes off Putin. Let's see if he can join his team to hold on to this battle, while Felix looks like he's taking a little bit of damage. We'll go down a couple more shots. Young Money, Cash Money taking 554 points in that IS-3. 20 seconds remain. They are not on the side of the cap timer. #RU holding on as long as they can, but only a few more shots will go in. Maple Freedom just has to reset them, and it is all over. #RU doing their best just to try to hold on, trying to make Maple Freedom come to them, but it looks like Maple Freedom is in a good response. Damage coming out, but USA Rocks all gets the reset. Game is rigged, though, finding him before it goes down. But now just one more second. Maple Freedom have successfully defended onto Lakeville. A good victory, tying it up 1-1. Now, David, you were kind of talking about maybe how frustrated #RU is going to be when they go back and watch that, because if they would have been aggressive when they had that overmatch, obviously that match shouldn't have gone and wouldn't have gone that long.
Yeah, I mean, they just would have taken that.
Sure.
One of the 5100s is loading. It was basically one shot left. They had it. They had it, and they psyched themselves out of it. One thing I want to point out, near the end, there's about 16 seconds left on cap, 14 seconds left on time.
Yeah.
That's actually a situation where Maple Freedom does need to continue resetting. And I know a lot of people may be skeptical about that because they say, well, the clock only has 14.
Oh, it's the grace period.
There can be a grace period. Sometimes. Actually, is it on the timer? I think it's in the timer as well. All I know is definitely when the cap happens, there can be a grace period as things get reset. The actual game timer, I've played too much to know that for certain.
Okay.
Because I've seen it sometimes misbehave. That's something I'm going to have to check out. I think I just talked ourselves into a corner on that one.
Great.
What's going on
We'll check that out during the
here?
break.
Yeah, definitely. Mr. Man, as you saw, 2,200 damage, shutting down those
Doing a great job.
T54 lightweights.
Yeah.
That's a great job.
Yeah, was
I
that
don't really know what else to say about it. He had better position overall.
Was that the positioning that he had?
Definitely.
Okay.
I hate being in that exact spot in any tank that the two players from #RU had to fight from Abrasive and Putin.
Okay.
It's awful.
Okay. Now cover just
terrible. Whereas the place where Mr. Man was definitely a better place to be. However, that's not to take away from what he did. Basically went 2v1 there at the end.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to sneeze at.
No.
However, on the other side, I didn't get a good look at exactly how easily the cap was reset. I think that was a major statistical error or strategic error on the side of #RU there.
Okay.
You have a GW Panther, which is no small arty by comparison to what they're used to, and they piled 3 IS-3s on cap. All it would have taken is one artillery shell.
Right.
Well, I don't think anybody would get one shot.
No, but one shot to
it's
reset
possible.
it.
Yeah, one shot to do damage to them all and reset it. Absolutely. That's definitely on the table. And I didn't see if it actually happened, but it certainly could have.
All right, well, let's see, ladies and gentlemen, as we're now switching sides, #RU versus Maple Freedom. If they can get back into it, and #RU will not second-guess themselves, or Maple Freedom keep getting these legs up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the battle and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For #RU, with 5,100, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and 2 LTTBs. Meanwhile, Maple Freedom, 2 5,100s, an IS-3, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-21. Nothing particularly special about these lineups here, unless you count the LTTBs, but I think we're used to seeing them now on Lakeville, especially from the team that is bringing them right now. They are moving into the south side of the city.
Wow, Putin picking up Felix, just trying to run down there. Looked like in his T-37 or T-21, and getting lit up and dominated there. Coming out from the side of #RU on defense, a beautiful pickup. And we've actually seen that happen once before. It looks like he's trying to get into the spotting position. Is that just him not getting there quick enough?
It's possible, or it's possible that #RU was just on the lookout for it and knew exactly where he was going to go. In this instance, he's trying to do a very aggressive spot that I've seen Kazna crew do out of the European region.
Okay.
But you can get into a rock that he was about halfway to, and from there, it can be difficult to get rid of him, kinda, if you have much better positioning than Maple Freedom had. In this instance, questionable move. Questionable move overall. I don't think they had the strategic positioning to really take advantage of anything he saw. Most of that is done in order to see things moving west. #RU wasn't moving west. And I think there's safer ways of doing that, especially given where the rest of their tanks are lined up. But Maple Freedom getting ready to counter push, perhaps sensing an overmatch here in the middle, which is debatable given the positions of Abrasive and Poot and how those IS-3s moved into the 6-7 to get more support. #RU still playing the corners a little bit better, getting more damage on those pokes than Maple Freedom is. #RU with 1,200 hit point advantage, but Maple Freedom's starting to get a positional advantage of dubious nature. However, out of sight, 54s.
Oh, going at it. The 2v1 outside getting dropped extremely low. One more shot. He will go down. Let's see if #RU can pick it up. Yes, it's going to be Abrasive to take that kill. And now another tank dropping just 5. Let's see if Maple Freedom, this is the trigger hopefully they need. They're going to try to find the overmatch when they can. Like I said, if there even is one. Morvic popping out, taking a shot onto Abrasive. Getting dropped down, but not too low. As #RU just looks like they might be in the superior positions to handle this, as now all 5 members of Maple are bunched up on this cap. Mr. Man and USA are going to start the cap pressure down, but Eclipse picking up Bobby, another tank falling, still 7 members of #RU up, and they're doing a great job whittling the rest of the members of Maple Freedom down. Morphic in his IS-3 taking damage from all sides of him. He needs to be careful, trying to exchange some. Nothing connecting from either side there. Looks like Mr. Man and USA still giving the cap pressure to getting dropped down, but Valera, a beautiful reset there, was going to back up and do Eclipse some more damage. 721 in his T-54. A couple more shots for those poor two T-54s, and they will go down. Eclipse going to find Morphic, moving around the side. Hashtag you now just going to clean up what's left. Eclipse finding USA, and Veggie taking the one tank down on the side of Hashtag you, but back-to-back kills. Hashtag you cleaning that one up now, making it 2-1. And that was just, that was over quick, neat, precise, done. Hashtag you picking up another victory there.
We didn't get a particularly good angle on it. Perhaps we can get it later for next week's highlights. But Putin's ram on that last tank there lifted the other tank on top of his front. It was pretty amusing.
But a monster truck action going on.
Valera Desolator 7-7 for 7 for 2,600.
That's a lucky shot.
Not a whole lot of other numbers really worth looking at. If Putin's on your team, he got a fair bit of points, but nobody else.
Okay.
So yeah, that was much better by Hashtag RU. Maple kind of giving a number of tanks, honestly.
Yeah.
Bit of a throw in that situation. But Hashtag RU, nice maneuvers, nice positioning, nice shooting.
Yeah, just very clean, very crisp to the point, and obviously coming out very effective for them there. One thing I kind of want to talk about, because we talked about it a little bit over through the shows, but I do want to just kind of, so I myself can understand this. When you're in a game and you start out and it's a 7-on-7, and almost immediately you lose a tank, and now it's a 6-on-7. How? I mean, what happens? Is it like, oh well, this is like increasingly harder, or is it like, no, we can still do this? Like, let's keep it. Like, what happens?
It's kind of like, if you were a kid, or when you were a kid.
Yeah.
When your parents would tell you to like come downstairs, or we need to talk or something like that.
that feeling,
that immediate sinking feeling.
Okay.
But you don't actually know. Half the time they're just like, oh, we're gonna sign you up for soccer or whatever. I don't know.
It's just when parents want me.
But that's just a sinking feeling.
Sure.
And it's same thing there. Sometimes it's a huge problem. Other times it causes the other team to do something crazy, and you get a comeback.
This is true.
But in this situation, it was only one of their lower tiers, tier 6, survivable. But a lot of the rest of their moves weren't. It was really the loss of out of sights 54 that kind of sealed their overall fate.
Okay.
But you definitely don't want to just throw away a T21.
Sure. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now into the next battle, our final battle, which is going to be on Lakeville until we go into the next one. Hashtag you versus Maple Freedom. Same size as last time. Let's get right into it and take a look at what do we got for tanks.
For Hashtag RU, a 5100, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and 2 LTTBs. For Maple Freedom, 2 5100s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. So they're bringing a much more aggressive lineup. But without the IS-3s, they're going to have to find whatever fight they want cleanly, without really having a whole lot of counter movement before it happens.
Sure.
Those IS-3s are going to punish them for coming so light and having their only heavies be 5100s, which are great tanks if you can get them into a fight.
Right.
But getting them into the fight is the biggest problem, and that is their weakest point overall. They don't do well in corner battles unless they're holding the corner.
Okay.
Because they do a pretty classic thing, say an IS-3 pokes around a corner, you shoot him in the track, and then you hold your second shot
until they repair?
Until they repair. Hopefully you get the right latency. Hopefully it works out. I always got a little bit frustrated every once in a while. You get these people who either repair too late.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know if you're doing that on purpose or if you're just really slow reactions.
Okay.
And then I've already shot them twice and they repair and drive away. It's like, well, I don't know which one it was.
Mind games.
That's frustrating. So holding your second shot is sometimes the best option, but not always. LTTB Game is rigged. Spotted this push from the 54s coming in quickly. I see now what Maple Freedom is doing with those 5100s. It should get them away into the fight. This is a very, very reasonable strategy they've got coming out here.
All right, well, let's see if it works out for them. As we have, like you said, those 4 T-54s pushing down now, getting on to that western cap. Already applying pressure there. Looks like it's going to be Morphic and USA Roxall going to be the ones there. Some damage coming out. A shot going on to Mr. Man, and another shot on to USA. Hashtag are you doing their best, taking those shots left and right. I'm not sure if any of them are spotted. Oh, it does look like game is rigged, and Putin are spotted on the side of Maple, or on the side of Hashtag are you, but on the side of Maple, only Bobby and Veggie spotted. So those shots actually coming out blind. Obviously, though, they know where they are. They know that that's probably the most reasonable spot for them to get to. More shots coming through. The resets coming across one at a time, but out of sight. Starting to build those caps. Game is rigged, pushing in on his LTTB to see if he can find a better shot and better angle to find on down side. Morphic, though, getting dominated. 420 points of damage. Another shot. He will go down Godzilla mode. going to be one to pick that one up. And now USA rocks all outside, having to back off the cap. It looked like it was a good plan, but now it's not working out so much as Veggie over in the city in the AMX 5100, taking a good amount of damage himself. And now Bobby, the one that they are focusing. Hashtag are you turning their turrets around, knowing that they no longer have to worry about what's happening in the cap, and Bobby getting dropped extremely low as well. A couple more shots, abrasive, going to pick that one up, and hashtag are you just saying, nope, that didn't work out for you guys, and now we're going to punish the rest of you, pushing in, out of position. Felix on the center road, looks like he's going to be the next target. Eclipse moving in this AMX 5100, having all 6 shots. His turrets turning toward Veggie. Only 1 or 2 more shots, he'll go down. Felix getting dropped extremely low, shot after shot. Putin going to be the one to pick that one up in the T-37. Now just 4 tanks remain. Eclipse chasing Veggie now out of the city, back into the spawn. He's trying to find him. Let's see if Veggie can do anything against his full health 5100, or if he's just going to go down to the mercy of Eclipse. He's about to find him very, very shortly as he comes around the corner, running through the fence. Let's see what's going to happen. 1 shot, he goes down. Eclipse picking that one up beautifully. And now it's just those 3 tanks down over in the southwestern corner for Maple Freedom. Mr. Man, USA, and out of sight that just remain. Hashtag are you clearly just going to clean this one up. Putin pushing in, taking some more shots as 4 members, they are rushing in here, going to find Young Money, Cash Money, and his IS3, pushing around the side, taking some shots. Looks like the teammates are blocking him, but it doesn't matter because USA Rocks All going to be the next one to fall down. Mr. Man should be on the chopping block next or out of sight. Let's see who they decide to go. 2 254s, it doesn't matter because anyway, hashtag RU is going to win. 1 more shot, it will be Mr. Man back to back, so close, out of sight. Now 3-1. Hashtag RU against Maple Freedom there. And now, Dave, we were kind of talking about the beginning of that fight where you might have saw what was happening, or you might have saw that the T-54s were pulling the tanks away. Where did it go wrong for them, or what should they have done differently? Win. They should have won.
It might be one way to describe it. I don't know. Some of the positions were a little bit weird. The 5100s didn't get the proper angle back in the fight. Hashtag OU did a number of things that were probably not exactly what Maple Freedom expected. It's one that's kind of complicated. I have to go back and look.
Okay.
There's a lot of smaller fights that I was kind of paying attention to as everything goes on. So perhaps there was one key moment that I missed that had it all unravel. But it looked like they were staying on cap a little bit too dedicated to it, which is a common mistake we've seen before. 3 people on cap and not really having any angles to stop anybody from coming back, and those 5100s getting lit coming in behind them, I believe.
Yeah.
So whatever the trap was, they didn't actually set it and spring it appropriately.
Gotcha.
Probably the best way to phrase that.
Also hearing Maple Freedom took a timeout going into this next battle. Now, going back to, is there anything in stats that is worthwhile checking out?
I am taking a look at it right now.
Okay.
And I would just, not particularly.
Okay.
Because there wasn't a whole lot of brawling going on there. I would just say that Putin was the one who did the most damage on hashtag RU.
Okay.
With 2285, 13 shots, 10 hits, 9 penetrations.
Ooh.
And Valera Desolator was the next in line with 1500.
Wow.
And I know our fans love to see the stats. Many of you have spoken about it. But unless we start seeing some very interesting numbers
Brawls.
about it,
right,
there's no real point to going to. And we can quickly summarize over voice chat there. So overall, right now, just looks like hashtag RU has a better control of their actual physical gameplay than Maple. Maple's strategies aren't exactly great. They have some good things going for them. They're making some basic mistakes, but the biggest thing I'm seeing is just to get those situations where there's the corner battles, hashtag RU's the one that's doing all the damage.
Gotcha.
Maple's getting a little bit back, but for the most part, they're getting out-tanked.
Sure.
The smallest tank tactic scale.
Sure. Now, going back to what Maple Freedom was just trying there, putting those 3 members down in that western cap, I was wondering because certain tanks accumulate points more as they go, and if they're not reset, they continue that. And it had the 2 members blocking the 3rd. If they would have continued there and the 2 members died and was a shield, because I think every time it got reset, it jumped right back down to 20. Would that have been maybe is that a viable tactic that someone can do, putting 2 tanks as a shield, or is that just kind of throwing away those tanks?
People do it. We've seen it a couple times,
right?
Which I'm sure is why you're asking.
Yeah.
But I think that the detail that you're adding to this is it being 2 and on this map in particular, and on that, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think on this map, what's most important is damaging tanks as they come back to cap, because if you let them get there with full health, they'll win. You don't have better position.
Gotcha.
You have enough position to do damage on them coming back, which makes it a better fight when they do get there, and a better chance that you'll come out on top.
All right.
So, in short, no.
In short, no. Right. Just no. Some battles, tank shields work better than others. Good to know. Lakeville, not one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now into our next map of our first match of the night. We're going to be on Mines as Hashtag U is up 3-1 against Maple Freedom. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
Hashtag RU with an IS-3 5 T-54 lightweights and FE-304 driven by Eclipse.
Ooh.
I don't know if I can call it Burt with Eclipse in it. It doesn't sound right. I have to come up with a Russian name. Maple Freedom with an IS-3 5 T-54 lightweights and a T-37. So with Hashtag RU on offense, I think this is a proper lineup. I liked the one T-32 that we saw Elevate bring when they did this, but they're running a slightly different strategy, and I think there are ways to counter it a little bit. But as it is right now, Hashtag RU is planted in a different spot, waiting to get shots on everybody who's going up on the top of the hill, which there are very tricky shots on that.
Ooh.
Maybe not.
No, Valera doing a great job picking up onto Morphic in that T-54. One thing I also want to point out, poor out of sight, he asked me, but me being theoretically Eclipse, to not play an Artie. And Eclipse did not listen. How dared he?
Well, Eclipse couldn't hear him.
Oh, that's true.
That was a little bit strange by Hashtag RU. They're maybe 10 meters away from a place they can fire on any tank that drives uphill. They could have gotten a solid volley out. So it's a position and a tactic we haven't seen a whole lot of in this season so far.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for.
This meta.
I believe we saw Simp try it a little bit, but we saw somebody try it a little bit. But nobody had as many tanks in that spot, and nobody had as great of a shot as Hashtag RU did right there. And they just kind of let it slip. So whatever they're running right now is not an immediate strategy, I understand.
Okay.
It's kind of basic. Overall, take the 1-2. I can discuss that. But there should be some nuance here, some actual goals, some movement that they're trying to do that should be a little bit more obvious than it is from our perspective. Perhaps it's just lighting while Eclipse shoots stuff, but doesn't look like they're even getting particularly good spots. They're just sort of spread and holding now. But getting some more damage on Morphic from all the way down there in the bottom, that could pay out.
Yeah, I was just saying, this kind of seems the theme of the night, Hashtag U versus Maple Freedom, where whenever there's a sort of a stall, a stalemate happening, that was very close. Morphic dodging a good chunk of damage there. But, you know, like I was saying, whenever there is a stall, Hashtag U are the ones to continue to find the damage against Maple Freedom, and Maple Freedom's just not doing, you know, the damage back.
Pretty much, and it looks like maybe that is their overall strategy here. Perhaps they recognize that exact fact, and they're just realizing that if they spread out that they'll win. They don't need to do anything grandiose, and they don't need to give away any strategies they may or may not have as time goes forward.
Sure.
As we've discussed before, hard to know with that team. Just depends on the day. Fight going out with Godzilla mode, perhaps up top.
Yeah, Veggie taking a lot of damage there, getting dropped extremely low in that IS-3 as he's pushing down. Looks like Hashtag U of Valera pushing his way back up. Eclipse on the reload. Let's see the shot that he takes. Going through another connection onto Veggie, dropping more and more as his HP dwindles. And T-37, Felix is heading through over on this northern side. Is he looking for Eclipse?
Yes. It should be what he's doing.
Okay, because he needs to be careful of Young Money and Valera right there.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about this right now. It's kind of in the open, but there are a couple buildings he can hide behind that will give him shots on people. But he can get shot like that. 425, brutal from an IS-3.
Absolutely, and Young Money Cash Money did take a little bit of damage from Felix, so I guess he did go over there and do something. Let's see if he can continue to capitalize on this being behind enemy lines, or if Hashtag you're just going to find out and close on a position and take him down. Veggie needs to be extremely careful as well, as he is only one more shot away from that FV304 Eclipse. Go over on the side. Now more damage coming out of sight. Taking a lot of damage, getting dropped extremely low there. One more shot, he'll go down and brace him. Gonna be the one to pick that one up. And over on the corner, we have Putin fighting against Bobby and USA with Godzilla on his side. USA getting dropped extremely low. One more shot, he'll go down. Let's see if Godzilla's breaking up. No, Bobby gonna shut him down before he gets the shot off. And Putin just barely missing a shot there. It looks like from Mr. Man up on the hill. But when Bobby comes around the corner, the focus fire from Hashtag RU is there to back him up. And he decides to back off as well, scared for his life. Mr. Man finding Putin, though. A beautiful pickup there from the hill. It is now a 5-on-6 in favor of Maple Freedom. But the health is in favor of Hashtag RU. Let's see if they can capitalize on that. Cap now being applied. 60 seconds for abrasive there. Valera Desolator still going back and forth. And something to point out, Felix is still alive, sitting back there in that town. No one trying to find him. Mr. Man picking up. Game is rigged. But there, Valera finding Felix. Kind of a response there for what just happened. Now let's see if they can continue on or if they're going to let Maple Freedom take these shots on 20 seconds now. It's like capping down on the clock as Young Money Cash Money has joined the fight. Mr. Man going to pop out over the side. Valera finding Veggie. Damage coming off. Mr. Man actually not getting the reset as he popped over the top. But over from the side, Bobby and USA going to be the ones to take it down. Morphic taking some damage there from the bottom. But Young Money going to be the next focus. 53 points of damage. And Mr. Man going to pick him up. It is now only 3 tanks remaining for #RU. Let's see if Valera can go down. Morphic finding Valera. Now just 2. Not looking good for #RU here. As just Maple Freedom really just has to push up. Just be careful of Eclipse here and those arty shots. Now,
well, all they need to do is take everything they have and drop it on abrasive.
Sure.
It's 154 and an arty, and it's not like the FE304 is going to do anything if you're moving. Not reliably, at least, and even then, extremely unlikely. Just fall up, get it over with.
Right.
Abrasive recognizing that, starting to run away here. That had to be a little bit frustrating for him. I saw a number of shots that he took, probably trying to track Mr. Man as he poked over the cliff's edge. Not getting any of those tracks, and if he had, it could have been perhaps a different game, but #RU trying to play that poke game we were talking about, and it's not working out for them in the long run. Maple Freedom getting a lot of nice little shots. Mr. Man, notably, from what I saw, getting a lot of shots, a lot of pickup kills.
Yep, absolutely. Now up on top, they are fighting it out. Morphic coming on the side to join his friend. One shot, he'll pick him up, and he goes down. It is just Eclipse left with only 280 points of health. A minute now on the clock. Maple Freedom doesn't even have to go find him, but looks like they are. They're just trying to take him down. A shot going out there. 259 points of damage. Just 20 remaining. Bobby going to pick up Eclipse, and now Maple Freedom claiming another victory, making it 3-2 going against #RU there. And you know, kind of talking about it, like we were saying, just that poke game. When a team, when that happens, you see 2 teams kind of stalling out. Could that be strategy of just like, hey, we know we've been winning as has happened previously in the night. Let's keep this up, or is that just indicative of just someone just going, all right, 2 teams kind of?
It could be. It's certainly not something that I haven't heard before.
Okay.
Where you recognize an advantage in the middle of a battle, and whoever the caller is just says,
go for it.
Well, we're out tanking them, so let's just spread out and shoot them when they poke, because they're giving it to us all day, and then whenever it happens, they turn it around. But if that was the case, not a successful strategy this time. I believe we have enough to go to stats.
Let's do it.
So let's do it.
First time of the night.
Mr. Man, perhaps hearing us not actually hype him up in the roster section today. Decided to come back with 16 shots, 10 hits, 8 penetrations. It's not a huge amount, although the damage does add up. There were 3 kills and just some very critical shots overall. Very important 80 defense points. Big deal. USA rocks. Also getting in a number of shots here, 5 for 5. Actually, pretty great accuracy on that. Bobby, 8 for 8. All 8 of his shots hitting, 6 penetrating, 77 defense points on him. And then meanwhile, you just kind of take a quick look through #RU. And again in the FE304, Eclipse doing far more than I would expect him to.
Good job.
And everybody else just not keeping up, not holding together. Valera in the past has been a great player, but he's just kind of been missing from the stat sheet for some reason. I believe he's one of the guys who plays over the Atlantic, so perhaps he's here. I have to double check on that, but for some reason, I always remember him having ping issues. But he's turning it on today. He's been top of the board almost every match.
He's showing that ping ain't got him. Ping can't hold him down. Ladies and gentlemen, as we're into our next battle, onto mines. Let's see if Maple Freedom can tie it up 3-3. Or if #RU can continue this victory, making it 4-3. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
Every once in a while, you make a comment like that. Everything that comes to my mind for the next 20 seconds cannot be said on air. #RU and IS-3, 5 T54 lightweights and an FE304. Maple Freedom with an IS-3, 5 T54 lightweights and a T37. Same lineups we saw last time. Worked for Maple Freedom. I think #RU has some basic little things to clean up that they probably noticed. I hope they notice. For their sake, because they're too good to be making these mistakes. Or perhaps, at this point, perhaps that's not true. Perhaps I am just being a little bit of a fanboy because I know their potential, and they're just not living up to it at the moment. So,
sure.
Maybe I'll stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. It seems to work for other teams.
Yeah, well, you can curse
as soon as I have doubt. They show back up and show me.
They kill them all without taking a single point of damage. Now
Maple Freedom's over there like, shut up, keep hyping them.
Keep hyping, go. Morphic now taking, again, 166 points of damage. Not as much as last time, but he is the first to receive damage for this battle. But not as much of a decisive hill push. Looks like Maple Freedom not wanting to actually take the top of the hill. just go into this this kind of standoffish position. Morphic taking more damage over there. Eclipse doing a great job getting the shots. Hey, most people go there and go, oh, I'm safe behind this rock, and Eclipse is like, no, you're not.
Dropping it from orbit.
Dropping it like it's hot. Now over here, Godzilla and Max Boot making their way down to that southern-western corner. Young Money Cashman taking some more damage across the way. And something we're seeing, it looks like Hashtag doing a little bit more of a decisive play. Things are happening a little quicker this time for them. Not as much, just kind of holding out. But over the side, Felix is going to go ahead and push over the eastern way. Having some more times. Hashtag RU. So over on top of the health. Actually, no, down. About 100 health. Not much. But on offense, it's all right to be closer than not. Out of sight, taking some more damage there. Eclipse doing a great job just letting these shots go. And you know, we kind of talked about it. If you have an artillery on your team, that's kind of what you want to do. Now, quickly, it looked like they put some cap pressure on Hashtag. You got it down to 16 seconds. Some resets coming out there. And now Maple Freedom doing a good job responding to them, making sure that didn't kind of quite get under them. Young Money Cash Money firing up onto USA over on the side there, along with Bobby. Nothing connecting yet. Godzilla Mode taking some damage as well. Morphic.
Nice moves from Bobby over here. Actually, you can still see the tracks in the ground. Perhaps they're in the bottom left. May look like a shadow to you, but that's where Bobby is actually pulling out fairly far to get the shot. So he's got a little bit more protection, look a little bit closer to hull down due to the grade of that hill. And then on top of it, he's further away from the bush. Basically, it's a better spot to fire from. He's much less likely to get shot or lit when he's firing from there. Aside from an angle that perhaps Young Money can see, but it looks like there might be a tree in the way. You know, it's one of these things where you get to very good players learn these cheeky little spots where it looks like you should be spotted, but you aren't in the current meta.
Genius.
And Maple Freedom showing some of that talent. USA rocks. And Bobby, well done.
We're kind of talking about how Maple Freedom also just speaking about how they're kind of performing, going toe-to-toe against this higher-level team. You know, saying, I think we were talking to Morphic early on in a few a face-off. He was saying how his goal, that's what they want to do. They want to make it to the top. They want to show that they can play. And obviously, putting the time in and studying these maps to find those places really shows that they do mean that. And it looks like they're doing a great job. If they can get another win here, they're going to tie it up against Hashtag RU.
Well, you know, it wouldn't surprise me on that topic, and it looks like we're going to have a little bit more time to talk about this kind of thing. It wouldn't surprise me if I went and looked through Maple Freedom's roster and their overall. Ooh, Abrasive getting a clear pickup over there. Where did he get shot from?
In the eastern side. I believe Felix was still over there in the corner in that town.
It must have been damage from Felix that was just disappearing late because there's no way anybody hit him.
So yeah,
okay. So what I was saying is I bet that their 15 for 15, their general pub stats are pretty good, and that they're probably very good players in actual physical skill. The question is, can they parlay that into 754 and WGLNA? It's a classic story. It's one of the hardest parts. I mean, this tournament or this league is filled with players who are very skilled. But playing together as a team and playing this, and especially at Tier 8s, which many of them are not used to, is a very, 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 very different game. And it's hard to adapt to for a lot of people.
I mean, this kind of, it's so good to know you, because you look at some of these teams, you're like, man, what's going on? Why are they doing this? Or how do they make it to WGLNA? But obviously, to get here, you have to be skilled. To get here, you do have to have a lot of knowledge of the game and skill as a tanker. Yeah, it's good to see also, again, reminding people that Maple Freedom coming out of this Gold League here. It's their first time in, Silver League. This is their first time in the Gold season. And as I'm talking out of sight, taking a lot of damage in his T-54, Veggie responding by taking some damage onto Valera Desolator in that IS-3. And the health now is in the favor of Hashtag RU, but Morphic taking out Young Money Cash Money, trying to claw the way back, but Putin going to respond by taking Bobby down. Now only 5 tanks remain for Maple Freedom against the 6 of Hashtag RU. The time has going down. This looks like they were what they needed to respond. Morphic finding game is rigged, and now USA chasing Putin out of there. Putin sliding around the corner, just getting to safety. And Valera and that IS-3 taking even more damage, but now out of sight, lining up Putin for a beautiful shot. One more, and he will go down. If he can't find a way to get out there, out of sight will pick it up. Oh, he gets a track. Not what he was looking for. He wants the damage, but USA should come around the corner and clean this one up. There it is, picking up the kill. Maple Freedom looking like they're in a good spot as Abrasive in his T-54, over 400 points of damage. Valera finding Morphic. It is now a 4-on-4. Hashtag RU just 1,000 points. Maple Freedom 1,700. A minute and 15 to go on this battle. Maple Freedom want to tie it up as best they can. Mr. Man popping over the side. Let's see, looking for Abrasive. Let's see if he can find Valera. Also extremely low there. Mr. Man taking a shot from Eclipse in that artillery. With a minute now down to go, Maple Freedom being on the defense, #U are the ones who have to make the move, and they have to make it quickly as time is not on their side. Not the offensive members of this battle.
Nice move by USA Roxol, taking that island when he knew he could, getting behind Godzilla mode, and all ability to cap or flank. Out of sight is going to have to block Godzilla here in the face. Godzilla has no choice but to go there straight and out of sight. Out of sight, ducking behind a rock, not actually getting that. Mr. Man not being in position to get it. Godzilla getting a little bit of leeway here. Still taking shots from USA Roxol. Out of sight, missing his.
Yeah, Veggie now looks like he's only turning his turret to that one, but just with 26 seconds, only having Godzilla mode, actually now no longer having Godzilla mode, and just having Eclipse. Maple Freedom looks like they're going to get another victory on defense here to Mines, tying it up 3-3. 15 seconds, and Maple Freedom showing up, #RU. Just kind of not dropping the ball here.
So far, #RU is struggling on Mines offense. For some reason, it seems like they just don't have an actual strategy. If I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
It's like they just move to these positions and then hope something happens.
Right.
There doesn't seem to be a cohesive thought about how to do it. And I mean, I could phrase it 19 different ways. All I'm saying is, it looks like they just kind of move into positions and start pubbing it. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. If they're just not connected on that. Trying to get a little bit of a high-low on the people there. Just nothing smart.
Yeah, well,
Maple finding ways to come back from it too.
Absolutely.
Pretty much just a spread middle defense, which we've seen 100 times work pretty well.
Yeah.
Usually takes a throw on your part to make a mistake. I don't know.
Pulling it off.
I don't know what's going on.
We were talking about maybe if #U was just seeing the fact that Lakeville coming across having such dominance, they were saying, yeah, we're just going to outtank them tonight. This is how it's going to be. Let's just set up and do our thing. But losing two back-to-back, hopefully they've realized that that's not how it's going to work tonight. Maple Freedom not going to allow them to do that anymore.
If that's the path you take, you learn the first time you make a mistake.
Right, not don't do it again.
Not the second or third in that instance.
Sure.
Well, nothing really worth looking at stats again. USA Roxol 2,000, Veggie 1,800, Bobby 1,656. Like we said, like I was pointing out, USA Roxol played a great game that time, showing great positioning, just a lot of intelligent moves.
Sure. Well, one thing I also want to point out, though, #U did have a moment there where they got the cap down to about 16 seconds. It looks like they were putting pressure there.
They didn't have.
Right. I'm just saying maybe they didn't have the positioning to finish that off. They were just kind of doing that as a desperate kind of last attempt.
They didn't have the position to lock out the people who could reset the cap.
Like Bobby and
yeah, like the guys who were there in the bottom, Bobby and USA Roxol. So it's
not working that well.
At that point, as Maple Freedom, that's perfect for you. Waste your time.
You're like,
we'll reset as soon as it gets low, and then it's 3 minutes gone, or however many time they allow you to keep doing that. That's what I'm saying.
Sure. Well, let's see, ladies and gentlemen, as we're into our next battle on Mines, all tied up 3-3. #U versus Maple Freedom. We've now switched sides. Let's get right into it and see what each team has brought for their lineup.
#U with 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Maple Freedom with a 5100 T-32, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Not sure how they're going to get the 5100 in the fight here as Maple Freedom. Be tricky. Other than that, we'll see. Hopefully #U is playing a actual look. They actually have something planned here for defense. It looks like they do. It looks like they're going to middle. Looks like they're deliberately going to go all the way up.
Well, absolutely. Young Money, Cash Money, and Godzilla rushing on the top. Some shots missing off the side of Maple Freedom. Morphic, though, chasing up. This looks very dangerous for him. If he pops out, his 3 members are just lying in wait of #U to take him down. A little bit of damage exchange on both sides, but Young Money, Cash Money has that position, popping out, taking some more damage on Mr. Man there in his T-54. And the hill control going to #RU. Let's see if Maple Freedom can respond correctly and try to. Looks like they're backing out of here. We're just kind of trying to reposition Young Money, Cash Money in position where he's taking some more damage, finding a shot onto USA Roxol, but taking a shot himself. And down in the south, we see Felix in that T-37 pushing his way through. Now, all the members of #RU are up on this hill. David, kind of walk me through the strengths, but also the weaknesses that can come when you have all 7 members on your team here.
For Maple Freedom?
For #RU.
For #RU, they really don't have any right now. Maple Freedom is dead to rights. So all #RU has to do is hit their shots and close it. The 5100, where he's placed, is a terrible, terrible, terrible spot for a 5100. He can get shot all day. He cannot hull down. He's not going to get all 6 of those in unless #RU lets him, which they really shouldn't. They should have spotted him a minute ago and finished this up. But the rest of the tanks, all 4, 3 T-54 lightweights and a T-32, are in that little depression spot that we talked about before, just kind of being a dead zone. As soon as you get bottled up here, you've already given #RU a concave formation on you, and it's just a matter of time until they close it, unless they throw it, which they don't look like they're going to, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility at the moment.
Sure. I'm going to cash money now, dodging shots, knocking a tree down, a bounce. Looks like it went off there, out of sight, and that 5100 trying to get a shot off. Morphic taking some damage from Eclipse over in his T-37 in that C9 position there. Mr. Man not quite connecting his shots, and that health starting to dwindle now in the side of Maple Freedom. This is something we've seen over and over as it's starting to stall out here. #RU doing a great job picking them off one by one. Morphic getting extremely low, a couple more shots, he'll go down, but Young Money Cash Money also taking some damage, but Putin gonna find Felix down there over in the south. A beautiful pickup there for them. One tank now, the first tank of this battle dropping on the side of Maple Freedom, and the health continuing to drop. Over a 2,000 point HP lead going on the side of #RU. As Dave, like you're talking about, just in better, superior positions. Maple Freedom just not really set up to deal with this. Maybe letting them get to that hill without punishing them enough. Morphic, Bobby, all very low. And #RU, like you said, unless they're going to throw it, looks like they have this game under wraps.
Perhaps they're just playing a more defensive game where they know that Maple Freedom can't really go anywhere without getting shot. So they know that Maple Freedom has to make the moves, and therefore give them all the shots they want to end it, trying to reduce their chance of the throw, as we were talking about. But I'm generally in favor of just closing the advantage you have, because as long as you do it well, the game is over. Not just for the speed of it, but for the certainty of it. Whereas you play that static game, and if things start going wrong, you start taking damage, and perhaps they get a chance to come back. So it's a risk, honestly, no matter which way you go.
Sure.
Typically, I'd expect #RU to be aggressive, but here we go. It's starting to get a little bit more fast-paced.
All right, Game is ready, taking some more shots around that corner. Then his IS3 doing a great job bundling up Maple Freedom. Their 4 members all very low. Mr. Man looks like he's trying to push up. They just need to find a way to do it. They need to take it now, but it's not going to work out as Game is Rick shuts him down. The rest of the team pushing out Bobby and USA Rock. So Bobby gave me the next one to drop. USA should be soon to follow. He finds Game is Rick, but goes down quickly. Young Money Cash Money finding Veggie and out of sight in that 5100. Responding by taking him down, but he should be on the run now as he is the only member left. #RU, Master Putin, coming down from the mountain, that T-54 lightweight, followed by Abrasive, just kind of dogpiling it up there on the side of the hill. Godzilla mode coming around the corner, one more shot, he'll go down. Putin willing to pick it up, and now #RU making their victory now 4-3 against Maple Freedom. Their first victory onto Mines tonight. Looking at, like you were saying, having #RU getting in that position they were, are at Maple Freedom, just once you've allowed them to do that, you're, like you said, dead to rights. If you're Maple Freedom and you've let some tanks go up, is it smart to go, they're up there, let's get out quick?
Yes.
That's what you got to do.
Immediately,
okay.
But the problem is they already pushed a T-32 up into a position they can't pull them out from, so they're dedicated. It's one of the flaws in what we were talking about with the elevate situation. Let's go to stats here in a minute, because we can always talk about that as time goes on.
Absolutely.
Young Money Cash Money topping off the damage for #RU. 13 shots, 12 hits, 9 penetrations, 2200. Valera still on top, making a good case for being on fantasy points this time forward. But have to see it do a little bit more consistent. Nobody else really, over 1,000 for the most of the team. Nobody else doing a big standout show there. Veggie kind of doing the most of the damage here for Maple Freedom, although USA Roxall is less than 30 points separate from him, so certainly worth noting. And everyone else just kind of struggling to get into that fight.
Yeah.
Overall, Maple Freedom just stepping into the exact worst situation they could be in. I think the biggest thing that needs to change is that 5100.
I was actually going to ask, where is a good position for that if you do bring it?
There really isn't one.
Okay.
You can kind of use it in A4, and you can kind of use it on the island, but in current meta, not so much.
Okay.
In the past, sure, because the T-54 lightweight didn't exist.
Oh.
So the only things that could really come after you were like a 1390 or
take it down.
Right. In the most part, you would solo a 1390 and a 5100. You should most of the time. Sure. But it also, people weren't as willing to push them around because the 1390 was more vulnerable. There's a lot of reasons why the 5100 was more viable then than it is now.
Right.
And it's a longer discussion. But suffice it to say, not that spot at least.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, let's see if Maple Freedom now has learned that lesson and can now tie it up 4-4. Or if #RU just needing one more victory can take it for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into it quickly and see what we've got for our tanks.
Hashtag RU with 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Maple Freedom with an IS-3, 5 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Relatively equal fight, dropping both the 5100 and the T-32. Probably good decisions.
Now, why do you think they dropped that T-32?
I guess they realized they didn't. The one spot that you want to put him in wasn't going to be theirs. They probably expected Hashtag RU to do exactly this.
They're doing it
again, which they are, and Maple Freedom developing somewhat of a counter strategy here, going down the 1-2, expecting to be able to take it from Hashtag RU. Hashtag RU already doing a rotation we didn't see them do last time, where Abrasive and Putin are heading back to the K4 area, which should shut down, or at least assist in shutting down what Maple Freedom is trying to do. Maple starting to paint themselves in the exact same kind of situation that Hashtag RU was in, and they failed to cap out as well. And this game is looking significantly in Hashtag RU's favor, but it is not over until it's over. And again, Putin, just right there before you saw him drop off camera, doing the same thing we were praising Bobby and USA Rocks All for doing.
Yeah,
getting down here. Much better position. He even took the time to knock down this tree.
For a soft cover?
For better camo, yes.
Oh, nice.
Covering the bottom of it. When it's standing, there are angles where they can see underneath. Knocked it down to give himself better camo, and now he's just going to camp. He can reset all day, and he's pretty well down to Veggie and some of these other people.
And now it seems like over the weekend, this is the spot that people are finding. I don't know if this was maybe during scrims or...
People have been kind of using it. I just noticed, or remember to point it out a little bit more this time.
Okay.
Than past times.
Wow, Young Money Cash Money taking some damage there from Morvik and USA Rocks on the back. Felix and Mr. Man staying in their spawn. Obviously, it looks like they did a good job keeping Young Money Cash Money in his place, so he wasn't able to run through. But Felix taking 247 points of damage there. But over on the side, out of sight, finding Putin in his T-54 lightweight now. A tank down for Hashtag RU. Out of sight taking a little bit more damage. But Veggie still applying cap pressure. And over on the corner, these two members from Maple Freedom, Bobby and out of sight, pushing up against Abrasive. Now, if they push up any further, obviously, Hashtag RU, Godzilla mode, you have him up there on the hill, going to be defending him. But a great pick up there, giving that kind of positioning, or taking that positioning to reset the cap away. And now, it really is up to just kind of game is ready to pop over on the side, because Eclipse and Young Money Cash Money are occupied in the northern positions.
Right now, Hashtag RU is getting another motion over the top to try and take that back. Hashtag RU making a big mistake here by not having anybody spotting the gap that those two 54 lightweights needed to cross in order to get on top of where Putin was.
Okay.
Typically there's a tank there that can see it, so Putin would be able to get out of there, because that is the one weakness that the spot is using. If people roll up on top of you, you have nowhere to go. No corner to back off like Abrasive is. Out of sight, and Bobby focusing Abrasive down. It's only a matter of seconds until Abrasive falls, and there he goes.
That's right, and over on the northern corner, Eclipse finding a kill for himself, trying to do a little bit of response if he can. Maple Freedom, though, up about 1,500 points of HP here. Veggie, though, taking a lot of damage on that cap. He got down to about 60 seconds, but I believe Valera popped to the top, took a shot, taking it down. That's not going to work out for him. Mr. Man and his T-54 trying to back around the corner from Young Money and Godzilla mode. Game is rigged, finding Veggie. And now Morphic and USA trying to take Valera as he looks like he fell off the side of the hill. Probably did on purpose to get that reset. USA Roxall taking him down. Now a 3-on-5 in favor of Maple Freedom. Maple Freedom looks like they're going to be able to tie this one up. Our first match of the day. I am 4-4. Mr. Man finding Godzilla mode and Young Money Cash Money. They're still kind of just proxy spotting each other over on that corner in that B2 position. Out of sight, finding Game is Rigged, popping up, taking some shots off. Now, looking at the side of Hashtag RU, if Game is Rigged does not win this top right now, it looks like he might not because Bobby's going to join him. I mean, that's pretty much it, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty much it already.
Okay.
Game is Rigged is going to go down. It shouldn't be long until Godzilla and Young Money Cash Money go down. The best chance they have is just to delay long enough to where they can win by timer, but it doesn't look like that's likely to happen. I'm wondering why Godzilla mode, Young Money Cash Money aren't just diving on Mr. Man. There's only one tank back to back him up, so at worst it'd be a 2-on-2. But they're letting game go down, not taking advantage of that time. And that right there very well could have been the match. They sat on it for well over a minute, and I don't see any real reason for it, especially if you're just going to do this now.
Yeah, now they decided to do it, but Mr. Man going to shut down Young Money Cash Money. Godzilla mode being the last member alive for Hashtag RU, and Maple Freedom tying it up. Now 4-4 against this team Hashtag RU, and this is fun to watch. I mean, Hashtag RU is higher up in the standings than Maple Freedom, and Maple Freedom showing that they can, like we were saying, go toe-to-toe with these higher up teams. What was it that happened there for the side of #RU? Where did they kind of lose it? Where did they let that slip? Because in the beginning, was it when they were going for where Putin was, not finding a tank to cover him? Was that kind of where they kind of started losing it?
They had to hold their defense, and they got overwhelmed in a very classic move, and they need to have something prepared to see that coming. They should get damage out on those 54s as they move up to that spot, and be able to see them coming to back off from that corner. Because Putin just got fed to those 254s, basically.
Sure.
Let's go to stats real quick. There's definitely one person worth looking at.
Okay.
Out of sight from Maple Freedom, 19 shots, 16 hits, 12 penetrations for 2880. Which is pretty darn huge. Mr. Man following him up at 1700. Everybody else kind of dropping off. And then for #RU, game is rigged. Got 1571. Everybody else, I'm looking to see who got the resets. Valera got 63 points on reset. And Putin got 49. And that's it. That's it. Putin did not have a very long life, but he did get to shoot somebody once, it looks like. Well, 2 penetrations, 1 penetrated for damage. And we're just getting word that Maple got to choose what side they want to play on the tiebreaker, which is Lakeville.
Yeah.
And they chose defense. So #RU just took a timeout.
There we go.
This is not a bad situation for #RU.
Okay.
They showed that they were better on Lakeville.
Sure.
3 times out of the 4.
Right.
But, I mean, they just had a terrible set. Terrible set on mines for, I don't know, what, second, third week in a row?
Sure.
So...
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Looks like I don't know. It's still definitely anybody's game. Maple Freedom's got to be feeling better about themselves at this point.
Yeah,
clawing back, getting a better situation. But they are on defense on Lakeville, and don't think they won one on defense, did they? Just have so many games at this point. It's starting to kind of blur together.
Yeah.
Honestly, either way, #RU showed a better control over Lakeville.
Yeah.
And if they can bring that back, then they can close this out.
There should be no sweat.
Which they really should. Otherwise it may be, I wouldn't say it would be the beginning of the end, because that would potentially be a couple weeks ago. But maybe a continuation of the end of #RU. This just does not look healthy for them, honestly.
Sure. Now, one thing I also kind of want to point out, do you typically see when teams choose, when they get to choose if they go into a tiebreaker, is it majoritively in the side of defense? Because obviously the timer's against you. Or do you still see teams kind of 50-50 going on offense if they feel like they're stronger at it?
I'd say it depends on the map, and it also slightly depends on the team. Defense inherently on many maps has some advantages due to the timer and just some of the other favorable rules. But on some maps, you definitely want to be on offense. I mean, we've debated that Ghost Town is better on offense. I think that's kind of 50-50 now, honestly.
Okay.
Mines, I personally prefer to be on offense on the mines, but actually, now that we've kind of seen it shaking out, perhaps not. Ruinberg, a lot of these maps, it's kind of a flip of the coin, and it depends on who you're playing and how well they play it.
And how well you've been playing.
How well you can play it, what side you want to be on. So most of the time, perhaps, but not all the time. Definitely not all the time, at least.
Yeah, well,
out of all those possibilities, that is the one conclusive thing I'm able
you
to
could say.
Not
Great.
Always.
Great, that's a rare moment here. One thing I want to apologize. I wasn't actually, not that I wasn't looking forward to this matchup, but I was like, oh, this is going to be just probably a very general matchup, and I'm assuming #RU is going to take it. But Maple Freedom proving that they do have what it takes to stay in this and going against these upper teams, ladies and gentlemen, as we're into the tiebreaker map of our first matchup of the night, #RU versus Maple Freedom, 4-4. Let's see who can take it. David, what do we got for tanks?
#RU's lineup in an attempt to close out this series for a tiebreaker win is 3 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and 2 LTTBs, with Maple Freedom trying to hold on defense with 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. I tell you, their formation's got to be different than it was before. Right. This could already be a #RU victory. However, #RU, if they play anything like they did on Mines, this could very easily already be a Maple Freedom victory. And Maple Freedom has to play the way they did on Mines as well. I'm not just saying #RU through those.
Right.
They did to a large extent. But Maple Freedom played a lot better than they have been. Maple Freedom moving all the way across the southwest.
Ignoring the city.
Had #RU done the suicide scout, essentially, that Maple Freedom did, they would see all this. And a blind shot coming out, not connecting. But they would have seen all that and definitely annihilated it. As it stands, #RU has a lot of good positioning. It's going to come down to getting the right intel, and it's anybody's game at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
Anybody's game. Hopefully, for Maple Freedom, they don't get too far out of pocket with anything they send up the 1-2. I saw them do that last time, and that is a general huge risk. If you come through that side, you better know that you have the time to do it.
Gotcha. Now, looking at, kind of you're saying, when you see a team decide to obviously just kind of ignore the city altogether, but most of their members over on the western side, when the team like #U, when they push in and start the cap, obviously, I mean, no, I shouldn't say obviously, but it seems kind of counterintuitive to then push back in. Do you see teams wrapping around all the way over, going up the valley and trying to flank them from behind, or what is generally the consensus when you decide to ignore the two base altogether?
You're talking about on defense, yes?
Yeah. For Maple Freedom.
They're not entirely ignoring it. They just understand that they can reset it from where they are.
Okay.
Not reliably, but they can get the reset if they need to. I guess I would say that they are more concerned with doing something they haven't done before than anything that any one thing that #U may do. Every time they've run this so far, it's been slightly different. They haven't been kind of just rinse and repeating, and I don't think we've seen this strategy out of them in this set so far. So 2 IS-3s sitting forward, a lot of other people making sure that the valley can't get pushed. Probably their biggest concern. I think it's safe to say it's their biggest concern. I mean, they put most of their hardware over there.
Right.
Not trying to engage at all for the 4 line, which I'm not a huge fan of. But #U, doing something we saw them do before. But last time they did it, really did not work.
Right.
And the situation is not better than it was last time.
Right.
There's no GWP. 54s are still here. See if #U can just execute better under worse circumstances, because otherwise, this is going to Maple Freedom.
Right, like we saw in the first matchups, as Young Money, Cash Money, and the other members of #U, really all 6 of them come around the corner, finding USA Rocks. USA Rocks leading the first shot. 390 damage on the side of Young Money. Now, Poot taking some as well, and here they come. #U trying to find USA and more faking those IS-3s. Godzilla doing a good job making sure they cannot retreat, so let's see how much damage they can do if they can actually tell #U to stay away. As Maple Freedom in a better looking like position. Dave, as you were explaining how last time #U did this, it didn't quite work out for them. Young Money, Cash Money moving in the IS-3, trying to get a little closer to these two members, Morphic and USA, and their IS-3's Godzilla mode still holding that 4 line. And Felix and a couple other members out of sight, and Mr. Man looks like still over on that side. Mr. Man taking some blind shots over there. Young Money, Cash Money, and Eclipse are the ones who were spotted. Mr. Man finding 248 points of damage into Young Money. And over on the side, USA and Mr. Man, though, taking some in return. The HP pool extremely close on both sides, and cap pressure has been applied to Game is Rigged. But Felix and Outside coming around on the flank. David, if they can execute this properly, are they going to look for Godzilla mode, or are they going to come around all the way on the side of the city?
Looks like they're going to do a split.
Oh, wow.
Again, a huge risk making that move, but a much less of a risk than the last time they did it, because now they know that #U didn't push last time.
Okay.
So they can do it a little bit more comfortably this time. And they only sent a T-37 with a T-50 with 1 T-54, so it's a little bit less of a resource. So out of sight does have some angles to either shoot Game is Rigged and get a reset, or move in on Godzilla mode and perhaps take him out. But if he goes that far, he'll probably get annihilated by the 3s. Felix coming all the way through. He's kind of a safety reset as well.
Sure.
Trying to get some rear lights. His goal will be to spot things without getting shot. Doesn't need to worry about getting shots out himself. However, it looks like he's going YOLO for the reset, and he gets it.
And he gets a beautiful shot there onto Game is Rigged on the LTTV, but it looks like he's going to be a lot of trouble trying to back out. Not sure if he can get anywhere. Game is Rigged going to pick that one up. A beautiful amount of focus fire coming on the side of #U, but he did what he needed to as the cap was down, I believe, about 15 seconds there. Going and getting that reset onto Game is Rigged, who's now joined Valera in that IS-3 onto the cap pressure, putting it down. But no, Game is Rigged is going to continue to run. And Mr. Man getting a reset onto Valera, who has actually been set on fire, taking more and more damage by the second. Game is Rigged coming around the corner. Looks like he wants to finish off Morphic. He gets the shot, and now USA goes down as well. Back-to-back kills coming out there for #RU. Maple Freedom has to be careful, as they are now only 4 tanks to the side of 7 for #RU. Young Money, 1 more shot away. Hopefully Maple can pick him up before he does any more damage. Mr. Man gonna find Young Money, but Godzilla finding Bobby, and now Mr. Man is in a bit of a pickle himself. Godzilla mode in the LTB coming around the corner. Looks like he's not going to chase or pursue. He just comes right back inside, out of sight. Now he's taking control of that 4 line, but not sure that there is much they can do. I mean, they are on defense, so they do just need to continue to get these resets. 57 seconds are on the clock. I mean, time has been ticking down. If they can reset it long enough, they will get it. Mr. Man getting Valera Desolator. A beautiful pickup there for him. Veggie in his AMX 5100. He is on the reload. He needs to reload and get those shots out onto Game is Reagan Abrasive because Godzilla mode is now in the LTB trying to run rampant out of sight on the reload as well in that T-54. Let's see if he can find the shots that he needs. 36 seconds counting down. Veggie coming around the corner, being chased over on the side. Is Godzilla mode taking the damage? Hopefully he can take him down before he can get close enough. 20 seconds are on the clock. Veggie taking some more damage, hasn't gotten a single shot off. He is obviously saving those to get the reset. He takes a shot, he gets gaming rigged. A beautiful pickup, and now all out of sight needs to do is stay alive for 15 seconds. Putin is looking for him over on the side of the lake. He needs to just stay behind the rocks as long as he can. 10 seconds down, a shot going out from Abrasive. 2 shots now for Godzilla mode. 5 seconds, he just needs to survive just a little bit longer. Godzilla mode has this pickup, but Putin taking the kill in the final seconds. Hashtag RU finding the victory 5-4. Whoa!
What? I honestly, I saw the position out of sight was in.
You're like, he's good.
It's over. It's
Those
over. Maple
rocks.
Freedom got it. Hashtag U's going to be frustrated about that one, but no turnaround completely. Just so much.
Beautiful job there.
So many moments in there.
Much many.
Praising or questioning that last 5100 drive of doom. I don't know what was going on there.
Just going.
This turret wasn't even phased. Whatever. I'm not going to start bagging on people at this point. A great series by both teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hashtag are you pulling it out of the fire there in the end? You really needed that one.
Final seconds.
That was a rough series for them.
Absolutely. And again, a great job for Maple Freedom coming out, literally going down to the last seconds. Like you said, it looked like they had it down there. I mean, I know that the positioning of that middle road has those nice rocks you can kind of hide behind. So, obviously, I wonder, do you think he would have killed the 2 seconds if he would have driven into the lake and on the way down stalled the timeout, or is that just too crazy of a? This is why you don't have me on your team, because I would make calls like this, and obviously
if he could survive the fall. I don't know how the game mechanics work on that, but it's not. I mean, I'll put it this way: it's not completely crazy.
Oh,
all right.
Whoa. All right. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw was possibly my first attempt at doing something legitimately decent in tanks, but. Not going to take away from Hashtag. You're doing a great job picking that up in the final seconds. Maple Freedom fighting as much as they can. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be after a short break into match number 2. Don't go anywhere.